All right, so a lot of clients will ask how to stay motivated. This is kind of simple. They usually don't have good goals if they're asking that question. The fact of the matter is, if you are looking to stay motivated and you need a particular song or your special shoelaces or the water bottle that you like or your earbuds, you got to have certain music, whatever, it's not going to happen. It's just going to be much more difficult. If you get up in the morning and you think to yourself, I'm going to get fit. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter. You don't have to eat raw eggs like Rocky. You don't have to be. You don't have to be in, like I said, in anything special. You don't need your Lucky Charms. You need to exercise. You need to do whatever it is you're going to do to get yourself in shape. I often think about motivation like this, because a lot of clients will, especially if they would be early morning clients, some of them would come in ready to go. They were excited. But a lot of them didn't. A lot of them just dragged themselves into the gym and they were just really unhappy. I got to get up this early to get in shape. If I told them that tomorrow morning at 3 a.m., if you show up at this gym, you're gonna immediately get $2 million cash, tax-free, $2 million right there. There's no question they wouldn't sleep at all. They would be in at 2:15 in the morning. They would be standing outside the door of the gym waiting to get in. They'd be waiting for me to show up, right? That motivation is because that's something they really want. It's just immediate, like $2 million right there. Just show up. If you tell them, I'm going to save your life, but you got to be here every morning at 6 a.m., every other morning at 6 a.m. for training, it's a lot different. They're just not as their motivation. If it's not there, if it's not inherent, if it's not something that they feel a drive toward, it's not gonna make much difference. So what I tend to do is when a client is starting out with me, when I first start talking to them, I try to get words that eventually, and I guess the way I look at it is I'm going to use these words against them later on. So I'll say, why do you want to get in shape? Well, they'll tell me, my doctor told me that if I don't lose 50 pounds, I could die. And this is kind of an extreme example, obviously, but I would say to them, okay, I'd write it down, and then later when they tell me I'm not motivated, well, what did your doctor tell you? Oh, well, that's right. I wasn't thinking about that. I'm thinking about they're thinking about the sweating and the heat and the muscle soreness and the fatigue, and I'm sweating here. I'm uncomfortable in my sweat clothes or whatever. Okay, well, you remember what your doctor told you? Oh, I do, and that gets them right back on track. So you want to find, that's a pretty obvious one, and it's pretty direct. But there have been subtle ones that people have said to me in the past, where a client will say to me, hey, I really want to get in shape because I want to feel better. I want to look better in that dress. My husband doesn't look at me the same way, or my wife doesn't pay that much attention to me like she used to when I was fit. And now I've gained quite a bit of weight and I feel uncomfortable and I want to get in shape for myself, but I want to do that also for my spouse. And then at that point, when you're down the line, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 months, whatever, and the person says, I just don't feel really good about myself, or I'm feeling really unmotivated at this point, you can go back to them and say, well, what would it be like if you were in great shape? What would that feel like? And put them in that frame of mind and allow them to feel what they're looking for, and guide them to that and say, okay, that's what we're here for today. We're here for that. And I know that it's not the most exciting thing. You're in a gym. There's a lot of equipment around here. It's hot, or maybe it's dirty. Maybe it's cold. Maybe it's uncomfortable for them. Maybe you don't want to be here. You don't want to get calluses on your hands, or you don't want to be sore the next day, or you don't want to sweat. But really, at the end of the day, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I know that you want to feel better. And we've talked about this now, and I want to bring you to that spot. Why don't you just describe to me what it's going to be like when your spouse stops checking out the secretary or the pool guy and starts looking at you? And now at that point, they're starting to say, hey, you know what? I do want to get back in shape, or I don't want to die before my kids graduate college, or I don't want to go back to the doctor and have them tell me that they have to put me on another medication for this problem. So you're basically at the beginning of the program finding out what you can, talking them through the process of what it's going to feel like when they get in shape, and then later on you're going to be showing that to them. Basically, that's how I tend to think of it, is I'm showing them like, hey, when we first met, you told me you wanted to achieve this, and that's what I'm here to help you do. In terms of the day-to-day motivation, it needs to come from inside them. That's not something that you can necessarily put in them. You can, of course, push them and drive them and call them and text them and send them messages and say, hey, get your butt in the gym. We got to work. We've got to work out today. But at the end of the day, if it's not coming from within, it's going to be really hard for them. So you need to help them by reminding them of what it is that their goal is, and just share it with them and say, hey, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. What do I need to do to help you move further along? So with that, we're going to move on. I will see you in the next video, and we'll talk then. So much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time here on Fit Pro Systems.